read one or two of the comments and give response to them. Adebisi Banjo, one of the comments says, whatever happened, just believe God wanted you to experience it. I am glad you know the Lord. He rewards and does not ask us to serve him in vain. He kept you while you were working late hours. Forgive and let go. Saying whatever you need to say in love. Many people are mistaking this thing that probably I am coming out to talk because I am pained. No, please stop getting it twisted. When you are, what can make you feel pained is when something happens to you and you remain in that position, or it hinders you from moving forward or doing better. But when something happens to you and you attain more than what you think you can even attain, more than what your dreams are, then what is the need for holding anybody in grudge? Saying something how does not even mean, that is where people are getting things twisted. Saying some things out does not mean you are holding people in your mind. Saying things out sometimes, most times, is a therapy. It helps when you don't bottle things up. Not only that, what I am doing is to share my experience, to open the ears and eyes of especially young couples. You know, sometimes it's better you learn from other people's experience than experiencing it. If this incident I'm narrating, I'm the only one, this is when you can say, oh, it's not something that happens. Maybe your own was just like that. But it's happening, and it is still happening, and it will still happen. It will still happen, I mean to say. Let me read another comment. Somebody said, oh, Gao, Eagle Believer. He said, oh, Gao, whatever society you volunteer to join, you will always contribute money and serve to keep the society running. So why should the church be different? Let no man steal your crown. End time. In other words, I am one of the people preaching, end time people. That's what he tries to say. And he says whatever society you decide to join, that you should know you are going to contribute money. I'm going to answer to that, even though I responded to him on that particular something. I said, even if I'm going to contribute to society, I will never be very stupid. I didn't say that, but I'm telling you now, if you are watching this part too, I will never ever be stupid to contribute to one man cause anymore. Because contributing to one man cause means I am working for that man. And I always say, me and my children, we will never labor for somebody else to eat. I don't know about you. I and my children and my generation yet unborn, we will not labor for somebody to build, one person to build an empire. Okay? If I am going to labor somewhere, I need to be paid. The Bible says a laborer is worthy of their wages, right? Okay? Even though I may not get back the way I put, I need to get something back. When you put in something and you don't get anything back, that is nothing but slavery. So I will never ever be slave to any man again in my life. You can decide to call me whatever name or whatever you feel I'm doing. That is okay. So there are so many other comments. Some people share their experience right there on that first part, saying, they were once, in fact, there's somebody that once went to the parish I once went. So I'm glad that some people could relate with what I am saying, and it shows that it's not about making up stories. So thank you and welcome back once again. Let's go back to so this second phase I have tagged, this part 2, I have tagged it second phase. Why did I tag it second phase? It is the phase whereby moved us higher in church. So we had issues with where we were living, and my husband said, let's move out of this area because of the children we had by then. Okay, before then, let me go to the stage. I hope I'll be able to do a lot today. By the time we joined the second parish, I was looking up to the Lord, waiting on the Lord. Like we always say in church, I was dealing with fertility issues. But in church, they will tell you are waiting on the Lord, okay, for fruit of the womb. So I was attending prayer programs for people looking for children. And one thing I remember at that time, nobody would tell you go to the hospital I don't know if they still do it, so I'm not going to talk about what they do now, even though we see what they do on social media. So, praying, and suddenly, before then, the church, there was a church we were going before we joined Redeem. In that church, we met a minister who was a minister, he's supposed to be a man of God, and he's a doctor. So we approached him, and he said I should come to his his hospital for checkup. So when I got there, I saw that it was his apartment he was using, a 3-bedroom apartment for his clinic. And guess what this man told me? He's supposed to be a pastor anyway in that church there, not Redeem. So he said, Madam, I said, sir, I was still a young lady then. He said, do you know you don't have to go through all this stress? I said, what do I need to do? He said, let me just have it with you. You are shocked. Okay. He said, let me just have with you. I said, have what with me? He said, I've helped a lot of women. If you know you want to keep your marriage, let me sleep with you and you have children. After all, I'm fair. Your husband is fair. So they might not know the difference. They might not know it's not his child. As at then, DNA was not common. I'm talking about early or mid-90s. So DNA wasn't that common. I was like, what? So I in my mind, I was like, I said, this is a new to me. Can you let me think over this? He said, sure. But if you decide otherwise, that is the best and fastest way so that you don't lose your husband. You know your husband is very handsome. I was shocked. I said in the church, so I left. And that was why we stopped going to that particular church and we joined Redeem. I didn't remember to go into all that in my first part. So when I got home, I told my husband, and that was why we stopped going to that church to join Redeem. So when we joined Redeem, the camp program, we started going for camp program. I remember Baba Deboye, we said, come and touch the altar and say you receive. At a point, he said God asked him to wear some agbada and you should touch and say, I receive. No, sorry, not agbada. It was not agbada at that time. The altar. I can't remember precisely what he did, but he said, touch the altar and say, I receive. My husband went, but I did not go. So it became a quarrel between us. He said, why didn't you go to touch the altar? I was like, touch the altar. How would my touching the altar make me pregnant? He said, touch, just go and touch. I was like, but because I didn't want issues with him, I went and I came back. And as at that time, I had woken up to go see another doctor. So I went to see another doctor. I remember precisely I went to see a doctor around April or May. I can't remember precisely, but between April and May. And this doctor prescribed fertility drugs for me. They did test for me and my husband. And in the process, they found out that my hormones were not balanced, which is always the case with most women. That is why you will find women, instead of them going for fertility treatment, taking care of themselves, they will keep on believing God and say it's good to believe in God, but the medicine is there to correct things, okay? So for those, those gym, let me just be careful with my words. Some things you just let it be. It's their problem. So the doctor said they found out that my prolactin was high. And when your prolactin is high, that is, you produce more milk. Even though I wasn't pregnant, they found out that the hormones that produces milk is high in my body than the other one, estrogen and prolactin. I can't remember. So they were like, I need to take medication to balance the hormone. They found out my husband too has a low sperm count, and they gave him medication. At the same time, we both went for this medical test, which most couple would not do. Some men will tell you, I don't have to. I once impregnated a girl. Somebody has gotten pregnant for me. You are the one that knows what is going on with you. And the woman will be doing it all alone. And most times, it's either the man's fault. And that is why you will find women, they continue to go for miracle looking for child. And before you know it, time has gone. Fibroid is growing in their body. A lot of things are changing in their body. And before you know it, even menopause will start setting in. And that's at the end of it. The women are getting to the end of their reproductive stage. This experience, I'm going to be you know, talking to people, opening their brains, and it might be taking a bit of long time. Okay, but I'll try and be very, very brief. So we took the medication, and 3 months prior to that time, I mean, after that time was when, no, before we started taking the medication, before that program where they say we should touch altar and say we receive. And I think about a month after or 2 months after that, I received program. I saw that I was pregnant, and ignorantly I attributed it to touching the altar. Yes, and I actually gave the testimony at that time. I said it was because I touched the altar that made me become pregnant. And why am I now saying this? I have friends that are even more jim than me in those days, and they all touched the altar. Today, they had to adopt children. Now, my own understanding of reality is that, is it that God loved me more than them, and that is why He didn't decide to give them children, or what? That is what we would have said in those days, and say, I'm highly favored, I'm highly blessed. That means we are saying God is biased. But that is not the case. Medically, they were dealing with issues. One of them found out she couldn't even conceive after almost 50 years of age. She just adopted last year. One adopted 10 years ago after running so many tests, okay, at the age of 40 plus. So it all depends on you what you want to do. You can continue to pray and say, I receive. It's your cup of tea. And but I would advise any woman looking for child to go to the hospital, do proper checkup with yourself and your husband to know the next step to take. So that said and done, let's go home. So I became pregnant and I had my first son, and that was what prompted us to move from that area to the next area where we were living. And this distance was so much, and we had no choice than to take transfer. When we took transfer, we started going to another one, very not still far but close, because when they are in Redeem, there is something they call area parish. You want to be close to the area you belong to, so you go to a parish under them, and most times they are always very close to each other. So we moved close to the one that is at least closer a bit to us. When we moved there, they saw the zealousness in my husband, especially. I told you, the man, very zealous, he gives and all that. And when they were about to establish new parishes, we were called to be one of the pastors to go and start a parish. When we were called to go and start a parish, guess how much we were giving? I remember vividly then, we were giving about 25,000 naira and 10 workers, plus me and my husband making 12 workers to go and start a parish. Where is the venue? Nobody knows. We were not given any location. We were not given any space to start. We were told just go and start, which is the nature of how Redeem starts then. So we got a place not too far from us. The more workers that we were given, they moved to with us. And then we started this parish. We started it in a restaurant, and we were paying the rent by ourselves. My husband and the assistant pastor, who is a bit buoyant too, were both carrying the financial burden of the church. And not only that, let me tell you another thing that was burdensome on us. When parishes are being sent out, I don't know if it is deliberate or unconscious acts. Sometimes when they are sending you out, they kind of do wuru thing, whereby some people will get people who they can work with and will help the parish to grow, while they will post some people that will make you stress yourself. You will nearly die to go and start the parish with you. So the kind of people we're giving were people who don't have job. Yes. In fact, out of the 10 people that were sent with us, if I can remember vividly, we have only 4 of us that I can say we are working. My husband and the assistant pastor's wife. I was doing a housewife, but I have my business I was doing inside. So 4 of us. Then maybe one that was just managing. The rest, students and maybe somebody earning very little salary, and thereby the burden of them coming to the church, giving them money for transport, fell on my husband and the assistant pastor. So we were paying the rent. My husband will levy everybody, the ones that are working, the ones that are not working. And of course, the ones that are not working, now serious wahala. Pastor, I don't have. And my pastor, my husband, like they preach to him too. You know, when they go for ministers' meeting, he too will preach it to them and said, you need to give to God. This is God's work. If you have to go and empty your account, this and that. And I'll be looking at you and say, empty their account. How will they feed? He will say, no, oh, you woman of little faith. That is how to do it. They need to challenge God. I say, challenge God. The challenge should be God should provide them with a job first. He said it's by giving that God will provide. So me, Akuku, they keep my mouth shut. The little way I have, they give. You know, upon that, we were paying rent. We bought furnitures to start the church. That's chairs, drums, keyboard, and everything. The another thing to now note is that the keyboardists, the instrumentalists, like they call them, we still have to pay them salaries, because if they don't come, there is no service. Service will not be sweet. I know several times that they will not call. My husband will have to be the one to sit by the drum and be drumming me, even though he doesn't know how to drum, because of what he has to give back, reports back to the area. The area in turn reports back to the province, and the province will report back to the headquarters. Another thing that you have to take note is that despite the fact that you don't have much people with you, they still expect you to grow in number. Not only grow in number, financially, your income must increase. If your income goes down, you will be questioned. It's unfortunate that I don't have access to those documents now. When I moved from Nigeria, somebody helped me to clear my house, and some of those things, I think they disposed them. But people who in Redeem, who are workers, who are pastors, they know I am saying the truth. So the financial burden was on us as the pastor, the parish pastor, and the assistant pastor, especially the two pastors. They were bearing the financial burden of the church. And so we continued. And of course, people don't go to small churches. People prefer big churches. So that was another challenge we had to face. As a young mother that I was then, I think by then I still have one kid. As a young mother that I was then, young couple, every Saturday we are in church doing evangelism. Every Tuesdays we are in church for midweek service. Sometimes we are just like 8 or 10. Gradually we increased a little bit, but even at that, we had other big redeemed parishes around us that has grown very well. So getting people was a tough one, to build a parish, but we kept on trying and trying and trying. At a point, I remember my husband and the assistant pastor once had a meeting together, and I was there, and both of them were lamenting that this thing is becoming so serious, and they were like, what are they going to do? Most times when they have the meeting, I'm always with them, with the assistant pastor's wife, and I think 2 other ministers. We're always having the meeting together, and we kept trying. At a point, we were increasing gradually, but it was not so rapid. Despite the stress on us as a family, my husband was a very busy man then. He was working in a company as a general manager. So you know how busy he will be. He was still combining all this with the church work. There are times he will come back home very tired, but he still has to go for midweek service. So we were all just pulling it, and because we believe that is the only way we can make God happy. Even though I know better now, we think that is the only way we can make God happy. So we were striving so much. Striving so much then. So the And you still have to report back to the area. During the area parish, they will ask you questions. Why is your parish not going? Why is this? We tell them our challenges that we are going through. Remember, we still have to pay. Remit. It's called remittance. Offering, tithes, thanksgiving offering, women's groups offering, women's fellowship or whatever they call it, men's fellowship thing. We keep doing all this stress and everything to keep building the church, and we keep remitting back to there are times that the remittance will be small. My husband will have to take out of his personal money and add to it to send, so that it will not be queried, because as at then we felt we were doing God's work. Okay, so we don't want to offend the authority. So there are times you had to add, outside adding that to the money to give to the area, so that they will not ask or query us. My husband still has to help the unemployed in the church. Not only him, even me. It got to an extent we have to even house 2 people that were jobless, that needed accommodation in the church. We gave them accommodation in our house because our house is very big. We gave them accommodation. We took them in as our brother and our sister, feeding them, clothing them, helping them to go to school. So in all of this, we were doing all that. Those were still part of the things we were doing. So the burden was much, but we kept pushing it until a time came we had to move again. I may not be precise with this particular incident. All I know was that at a point we found ourselves in another parish, Life Spring Parish in Bagada. And immediately we got there, we were transferred there again. Immediately we got there, we were posted out again. So this time around, when we were posted out, we needed to stay around the area. And we got a place that we had to renovate. We renovated the place, bought blocks, block tiles, board tiles, make sure at least the place is in a good condition. I remember I'm the one that used to do the decoration free of charge. I will put up decoration to make the place beautiful. On Saturdays, I'm there to clean up the place, to make sure the place is clean and ready for service. Despite being the pastor's wife, I wasn't waiting on the workers. The workers will come, not everybody, but I'm always there, especially on Saturdays, to make sure everywhere is ready. In the process, I had my second child, and that makes two little children, toddlers, and I still have to combine that to being a pastor's wife. So we kept doing it, and we kept pushing it. So we started this new parish again, and like from the former one, most of the people posted along with us were people that don't really have job again. And one question I was asking my husband then was that, why is it that most people they post to us with us are people who don't have job? He said he doesn't know. And thinking now, I think it's because they feel he has money, so they feel he can do it mostly on his own. So my husband wasn't that bothered. I was the one bothering because it was falling back on the home front. There are times he would tell me he's broke. There are times we will fight over finances. There are times we will quarrel. There are times we will not talk to ourselves because he would tell me I'm broke, I can't do this. And he was the one that said I should be a full-time housewife because he wants me to give attention to his children. I had my business that I was doing even before meeting him. So I dropped all that to concentrate on the family. So it was having effect on me. There are times I will be broke and he will say he's broke too. So the burden and the pressure was so much on our family as at then. But we kept on pushing it. We kept on pushing it. We kept on pushing it. And the church was growing gradually. It wasn't growing so much too because we were still surrounded by big churches. Go and ask. That is another pressure they put on people. I remember there is this parish in my area. That parish has been there for over 15 years. I can count their members. You know why? on my streets alone, in my area, not even, I would say my streets, at least street and adjoining street in my area, we have over 8 redeemed churches. And there is a particular one, their distance is not far from each other. It's just like the next block. And in between the next block, they still have Deeper Life. In between having that Deeper Life, they still have another Celestial Church. In between having that Celestial Church, they still have a C&S. And they have another church, another gospel church, and CAC. So you can imagine the competition. And when you are sent out, you are not sent out with people that are rich to really stand up as a parish is always tough. So I know how many pastors really are suffering to build parishes. I know what they are going through. I know the pressure on them. I know the pressure on their wives. I know the pressure on the workers. It will get to an extent, pastors will even fight workers, as if workers should go and drag people from their houses to increase his members for him. Yes, my husband did it too. He will lambast the workers. You guys are not doing the the work of God. You are not going out to evangelize this and that. Pressures. At the end of the day, when you collect offering and tithes, all the rents that you are paying, you dare not touch a naira out of that offering and tithes and thanksgiving money. Everything has to be remitted. And that is why I laugh when somebody was saying, that comment I read, that, oh God, whatever society you volunteer to join, you always contribute to money. Shebi, the money we are contributing, is it not supposed to pay rent, take care of the needs of the needy, right? Even pastors. Here, I have been to Baptist church here. The pastors of Baptist church have salary they collect. Apart from collecting salary, every service, anytime anybody has to minister, either pastor or one of the ministers, they are paid $200 for ministry. One ministration, no. But our Nigerian pastor, So you still have to pay rents. You pay rents, you pay electricity bill, you pay workers bill. Those are the instrumentalists. You will be the one to pay them. You will pay maintenance from your pocket. It was that bad. If they have changed their protocol, maybe because there are a lot of complaints out there now. But that is how it used to be. Anybody that think I am mixing up anything, that used to be part of Redeem of the Whole, though, not Redeem of today, you can please correct me in the comment section. I will come with the part 3 and I will try and head it at that part 3. The part 3, be sure you are ready to listen to it. Be sure you are not the type that shed tears easily. Be sure you will be fair when you listen to the part 3. And hopefully I finished it in that part 3, because the part 3 actually is what has led me doing what I am doing now. What I am doing now is to save a lot of people from being a slave. Is to save a lot of people to concentrate on their lives instead of using their lives to build another man's life. Since I left church, since I stopped going to church, I am not telling you to stop going to church. That is your prerogative, is your problem, okay? So don't say, are you saying we should not go to church? No, I said I stopped going. And as an adult, I am responsible for my decision, okay? I am responsible for the consequences or whatever that will come out of my decision that I have made. So let me bear the consequences. And I want to tell you and shock you that there has not been any negative consequences since I stopped. The only thing that I've seen are progress in my life. The only thing I've seen is peace. The only thing I'm enjoying is freedom. If the Bible says there is therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus,